हमारा प्रेम ध्वनि।
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की, श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री मायापुर धाम की, गंगा मैया की, यमुना मैया की, तुलसी देव की, भक्ति देव की, समवेत भक्त वृंद की, लॉर्ड चैतन्य हरिनाम संकीर्तनम की, प्रियत मृदंग की, श्री प्रभुपाद की, श्री श्री गौरताय की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ देव सुभद्रा की, श्री श्री राधा रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। नो, रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। गो प्रेमानंदी हरि बोल। All glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Grand all glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinami Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaurapani Vicharne Navasesha Srinivadi Pashtacharya Shatane Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Go Premanandi Krishna. Have both vehicles arrived? Both of our cars are here. We have 2 cars.
Okay, you have 2 cars.
Yes.
Okay.
Mayapur, have Mahanandas here? They're here? Oh, good. They've all arrived, huh?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are very fortunate that amongst us we have His Holiness Jananand Swami Maharaj. Hari Bol. Maharaj is glorious disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Hi Prabhupada.
Maharaj has been preaching all across the Europe, especially UK and Germany, France. Especially from past few years, Maharaj is focusing on the new Mayapur Dham, which is in France. And Maharaj is known for his quick wit and divine wisdom and wonderful lectures, discourses, and especially his ecstatic singing and dancing on the holy name of Krishna. So Maharaj has been spreading the glories of the holy name all across the globe. And today we are so very fortunate to have His Holiness Jananand Swami Maharaj to come to ISKCON Dwarka and bless all the devotees here. So let's welcome Maharaj from the core of our hearts by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. His Holiness Jananand Swami Maharaj Ji ki jai. And all the devotees also who have come along with Maharaj, we welcome them as well by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Mayapur, maybe you can give that to Priyarani. Hari Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jala Balava Giridharadhari. Gopi Jala Balava Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Vajjanaranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gaunitai ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Shri Shri, is it Rukmini Dwarkadish? Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish ki jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Grand, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, wonderful to be here. Do we need a translation or English is okay? So thank you all for coming this morning. Some of you may be going to work shortly. Some of you may be going to school, college. Some of you may be part of the temple crew and services. But I see there were last time I came here was probably 6 or 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but at least that long. Before you started any construction, no construction. So nice to be back. And I understand in a couple of years you're planning to open, is that correct? 2 years' time? Nice. Same year as TOVP probably. Let's see. what Krishna's plans are. We try our best, and our service is to give our lives for the service of Krishna's servants. So what the results are not completely in our control. We try our best, but they're ultimately in Krishna's hands. And what is in our hands is our offering of our hands. We can offer our hands for the pleasure of Krishna. Offer our hearts, offer our whatever we've been given. Actually, we don't really have anything. You may know the story of when Prithu Maharaj received the 4 Kumaras. 4 Kumaras, of course, Brahmanas. And naturally the Kshatriya, King Prithu, they don't just they are obligated, they want to give charity to the Brahmins. They know that this is the secret of success, materially, spiritually, to serve the Brahmins. And so he wanted to give charity to the Brahmins, but he said, actually I have nothing to give. I have nothing to give. And he's the king, maybe the emperor of the world practically. But he said, I have nothing to give. It's a good excuse, isn't it? He said, because actually nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to Krishna. And you are the Brahmins, so on behalf of Krishna, actually you are the proprietors of everything. I have nothing to give, it's already yours. It's already yours. But out of your selfless kindness, you allow us fallen Kshatriyas to manage the property. But actually it's all yours. If you want to take it, do what you like. And Prabhupada says, just like, of course now it's a little different, but traditionally you could trust the system that you would give money to the bank, and the bank didn't own the money, you owned the money. I don't think that's the case nowadays. Times have changed. But that's supposed to be what it is. You own the money, the bank is looking after on your behalf. On your behalf. Whatever, suppose like that. Everything belongs to the Brahmins. So I don't know, are we reading from the Bhagavatam this morning? Verse number? The Bhagavatam is on the table here, so I guess we're reading, are we? Yes, but we're not sure where. Somebody said it was, what do they call it? Free reign, it was... Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This morning's class is given by Swami, His Holiness Nothing Swami. Chant the holy name. Well, look, he's given us a verse here. It's always okay. Whatever we read is, the Bhagavatam is more than okay. Let's have a quick look. A beautiful verse, I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't mind. I mean, we can incorporate both in one, or maybe someone else has prepared this verse for tomorrow or something. I don't know how it works around here. The holy name. I don't have anything here. I mean, we'd love to read something about the holy name. I think last time I was here, we spoke on Prabhupada's, yes, it must have been a special year. Huh? Who? Subhag? Subhag? Subhag Maharaj, humble obeisances again and again. And Hare Krishna, all glories to Prabhupada. Wow, I'm so blessed. I can't see you behind the railings. There he is. Haribo! Haribo! His Holiness Sabag Maharaj Ki Jai. Maharaj should be sitting here. Is he staying for a few days? Okay, so you'll have his blessed association, I hope, very much in the next coming days. If I'd known you were here, I would have definitely not have taken this seat. What to do? Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj joined about a year before myself. He joined in England. Did you join in London? In Bury Place. Temple Bury Place. And of course the term Bury, you pronounce it Bury Place, but Bury Place, Bury Place. Where they used to bury people. Many towns in England have the word bury. Burial ground. So Prabhupada came there and resurrected all the dead souls from that temple. Amazing place. And Sabag Maharaj has so many sweet memories of Bury Place. Huh? He was amazing. And the first time I saw Sabag Maharaj was in a city called Birmingham. It's another city. Second city of England, like you have, Delhi and Bombay. So Birmingham's not very big, it's about 3 million people, but second city of England. And I went there, and I was just a visitor at that time. I'd already been to the Bury Place temple, but I was in Birmingham, so I thought, let me see if I can go to the temple, the Hare Krishna temple in Birmingham. So I went there, and I waited and waited, nobody was around, and about 6 o'clock in the evening, this little Indian devotee came running into the temple. It was locked. And then he saw me, and I was a long-haired hippie. I had hair down to my waist almost. And he probably doesn't remember it, but he was like, by default, we could say, he'd suddenly become the head of the temple. The temple president had just left and left a note saying something like, "You're now in charge." So he was in charge of the Birmingham temple. And I was just a guest, so he welcomed me in. What's happening now? Sabag Maharaj is coming forward. There he is. Maharaj, I would like to give you a garland, but I only have remnants. I don't have is there a proper garland for Maharaj? These are all remnants, you could see. Please give him a garland. Well, Maharaj, you look like a friend. I don't know anyone in this movement who keeps so young as Sabag Maharaj. He looks almost the same as when I saw him in 1971. I met him in 1971, 53 years ago, almost a little bit less than 53 years ago. And he invited me in. This is a funny story. And then we'll bring the holy name in. So he invited me in, and there was a couple of Indians, because you probably don't remember, but because it was my first meeting with you, memory sticks, And usually your first contacts, they stay in your consciousness, And the devotees you meet may not remember, but it's understandable. They meet hundreds of devotees. So he invited me into the little temple. It was a small house. They call it a terrace. Do you know terraced house? All the houses joined together in this kind of like pretty, I wouldn't say low class, but not a very opulent part of Birmingham, put it like that. So he invited me in a little house, little living room, which was a temple. Huh? No, this Sparkbrook. Sparkbrook, yeah. Sparkbrook. Handsworth was before. We just moved to Sparkbrook. And there's a little temple, there's a little room, little living room, a little front room, it's a terraced house, and then there's a little room behind and a little kitchen. And Maharaj was there. You were basically the only devotee living there, because, what's his name? I just left. Debijay Prabhu just left with his wife, and you were alone. That day you were alone. So he put me in the living room. There's a little altar there on pictures and things. And Maharaj went into the back room. There was a couple of Indian guests there. I think they brought some boga, and they were preparing some boga to offer. And then after about 30 minutes, or maybe a little longer, I was sat in the room on my own for 30, 40 minutes. No one else there. Wondering what's going on. And then he he came. He was very I wouldn't say nervous, very shy. You were very shy in those days, man. He's not shy now, is he? He's like a tiger. We call him the Bengali tiger. Hooray! His classes get everyone fired up. I mean, he's like fired like Prabhupada. He reminds me of Prabhupada in 1966 in New York. That same, like, spirit of desperation. You must take it. You must take it. You know, so wonderful. Actually, we did a drama. You remember that drama? Prabhupada's 108th anniversary in Mayapur. Now, it must have been 2004. And they asked, Lokanath Maharaj asked me to do a drama about Srila Prabhupada for the 108th anniversary in Mayapur. So he gave me 2 days notice. We had no script, no actors, no nothing. So I said, Maharaj, let me tell you in the morning. So I stayed up all night, I didn't sleep, and I just put together I tried to put a script together. So I just put a script together all night and just meditated on what to do. And by the morning I was convinced, yes, we have to do it. But I had no actors, nothing. But fortunately some of the devotees were there from New Zealand who I knew, who were good musicians, and 1 or 2 were actors. And a lot of friends were there. The first person I met in this regards was, what's his name, the Sanskrit, the BBT editor, what's his name? In San Diego. In San Diego, what's his name? Very good poet, what's his name? Huh? Too many things on my mind this morning. I've been all morning packing. A very close friend of mine, but I've just forgotten his name. He lives in San Diego. He's a very wonderful American devotee. He does the editing for the long years. He does the Vyasa Puja book for the last 30 years. What's his name? He just handed it over last year. Huh? Huh? Ravel? Dravida. Yeah, Dravida. Dravid Prabhu. So he was there, and he's very good. I said, Prabhu, can you do the narration? So he immediately, because he's an excellent narrator, so he took that. Then I met Nisringananda and a few others who were actually professional actors, Chandrasekhar Acharya and 1 or 2 others. We got them, yes, we'll take part. I managed to get about 5 or 6, devotees. And they said, when's the rehearsal? I said, on the stage when we performed the drama. There was no rehearsal for most of them. I just gave them the script and said, meditate on it. And then Maharaj, I thought, who are we going to have Prabhupada? Who's going to be Prabhupada in the drama? And then I saw Savag Maharaj. And I said, Savag Maharaj, please, would you be? And he took the position of Prabhupada in the drama. I mean, I wish that Bhakti True Maharaj he's so much like Srila Prabhupada. He went to the same school, from the same place, and has the same spirit as our dearly beloved Srila Prabhupada. And then I met Bhakti Vijendra Maharaj, who's the closest associate in the early days. 3 of us were really close. Bhakti Vijendra Maharaj made him a devotee in Birmingham. He left his body 5 years ago or so. Vijendra Kumar Bhakti Vijendra Maharaj from Malaysia. So he looks very, very much like Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And I wanted someone to play the Bhakti Vinod. I convinced him, this is the one and only drama he'd ever taken part in his life, to be Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It was so exciting. And I met 1 by 1, and then part of the script was a scene in London where some devotees were asking Prabhupada questions. And suddenly I saw a devotee. I said, the very devotee who asked the question which I was going to ask to Prabhupada is right there. So they took part in the drama and asked the very same questions they asked Prabhupada in 1976. So it was like, Krishna fitted the whole thing together. It was a miracle. 1 by 1 by 1. I had a couple of rehearsals with those who weren't so familiar. I think maybe with Maharaj, with Bhakti Vijendra Maharaj, because they weren't too familiar with stage dramas. And Maharaj was he was narrating Prabhupada's lines, and Dravida was narrating the rest of it, and I was directing and acting, and it was such an experience. It was like 2,000 devotees in the Pandal watching the drama. It was incredible. Last minute, one of my friends from England, he was a professional videoer, so he took charge for all the sound and all this and that. The temple would give us no costumes, nothing. We had to scrape things together from wherever we could get. And nothing. It was a plain stage, no props, nothing. You know, it's like we were just, whatever we could get together, we got together. Simple as that, you know. And we had the good music group on stage, and one thing. And then, as was usual in those days, about halfway through, the electricity went off. All black, you know. We had to wait. In the meantime, the video man thought that the drama had finished, so he went for his dinner. He hadn't eaten lunch or dinner. And when the lights came back on, he wasn't there anymore. There was no sound, there was nothing. He disappeared. And so we had to wait, and we had to run to get in. And then, I wasn't sure if it was you or Dravidas, someone dropped. We had a torch. We had to use a torch in the back room. There was no lights in the back, only on the stage. And you had to use a torch to read the script. And someone dropped the torch down the hole in the stage. And we were stuck without a torch for a while. And I think it was Dravida. He read the wrong section for the scene that was on the stage. It was but nobody knew, you know. I kind of improvised everything at the last minute, you know. It was absolutely amazing. It went down like roar. It was like incredible, absolutely incredible. And the essence of it was, of course, Srila Prabhupada. It was all about Srila Prabhupada taking the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same message. You have Rukmini Dwarkadish here. So this whole pastime started in Dwarka, as you know it very well. And when Narada Muni came to Dwarka, and, you know, he was depressed, not depressed, but disturbed, but Kali Yuga is about to begin, right? And what are people going to do? It's a hopeless situation. They have no interest in Krishna consciousness in Kali Yuga. Everyone's Maya. They're all in Maya. So he was very disturbed. We've got to do something. They're not interested in the holy name. Because he was preaching, you could say, more Aishvarya Bhav, chanting of the holy name, but he was very concerned with the people. And Krishna, of course, relieved him of his concern. You know, the whole story is there in the Chaitanya Mangala. Quotes some verse, Ananta Samhita in this place and that place. And, you know, Narada Muni was relieved, and he went off to Goloka Vrindavan eventually after going here and there. And then he had the glorious association of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna. Oh man, showed him their eternal form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And that all merciful, completely contains every aspect of compassion and love of Godhead in every way, in the form of Mahaprabhu is the personification of the entirety of compassion and love, everything that exists. So he manifests himself before Narada Muni, who then, we can't imagine. I mean, you only read what you read, but swooning in ecstasy again and again, assuring Narada Muni, don't worry, that I will be appearing very soon in this golden form in Kali Yuga. Once in a day of Brahma. Huh? That's a long time, isn't it? Longer than, more than 100 years, isn't it? No, it's only one day. One day. Just once every day.
1 day of Brahma.
Of Brahma.
Yes.
1 day of Brahma.
That makes 1,004 yugas.
1,004 yugas. Wow. 1,000 Chaturyugas, huh? Chaturyugas. Oh, and the night as well. Double that, my gosh. Anyway, you don't realize the night passes by your dreaming. So, that's a long time. That's like 4 billion years or more. Once. And we are here at this time, just 500 years after Lord Chaitanya appeared. We don't realize, we take it for granted. It's like, Prabhupada gives the example, it's as rare as an ocean, say the Indian Ocean. Take the Indian Ocean, okay, because it's close at hand. Or the Arabian Sea is also big, close to whatever. And in the middle of the ocean, there is a log of wood. And in the middle of the log, there's a little hole. Somehow or another, there's a hole in the log, and it's floating on the water. In the middle of the ocean, one log. And there is one turtle. And the turtle has decided it's coming into the surface. And just as it comes to the surface, his head goes straight through that hole in the log. Now, what are the chances of that? There's more chance of that than life happening by chance, by the way. But it's very, 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 it's like maybe 50,000 billion against a 1. That's nothing compared to chance happening of life, by the way. There's no limit to the numbers of zeros on the end of the 1 for that one. It's absolutely unlimited. So that's the opportunity we've got, that rare opportunity. So Lord Chaitanya said, don't worry, I'm coming. I'm going to distribute the holy name everywhere, the Sankirtan movement. And deliver everyone. And those persons who try to escape and go to foreign lands. Maharaj tried to escape from India, went to the foreign lands. That's what happened, literally, right? He went there for education. Mundane education. At those days, Indians would go to the West if they were very fortunate. It wasn't easy. You know, you had to have a lot of, credits. And you go for mundane education. Huh? Very few people would go for tourism. And even work was rare because, what would you do there? Work-wise, there weren't Indians working in England. I remember the first Indian who moved into our town, it was like, there's a brown person living in the town. A brown person! What's happening around here? People couldn't believe it. There was a brown person walking around. It was rare. 1970, by 71, 72 Indians were coming from Africa. But before that, there were very few Indians, maybe in London somewhere there. So anyway, the drama went on. It was an ecstatic affair. And then from there, Narada Muni, and then Lord Gauranga said, those who escape to foreign lands, don't worry. I will send Srila Prabhupada. He didn't say that. He said, more Senapati Bhakta. My chief field commander who will go all over the world and preach Krishna consciousness. Huh? And deliver people in all the foreign countries. Foreign countries like England. Huh? Prabhupada came all over, went 14 times around the world. Huh? Australia, Japan, America, South America, even Russia. Even Russia. Everywhere. I was talking to Gopal Krishna Maharaj for about an hour or two the other day. And we were talking about Russia because Mandakini is one of our French devotees. She was married to Anantashanti by Prabhupada. So she was the first non-Russian devotee, really, in a sense, to preach there in Russia. And she goes there now all the time, even during COVID, even during the war. She just came back from Russia. She's so dedicated to to giving Prabhupada's association to the people in Russia. Amazing, taking all risks. She's 77 years old or something. Incredible at this stage of her life, still preaching. Anyway, back to the drama. So, more Senapati Bhakta. And also, at a similar time, you may know, Ganga Devi, she came to Dwarka also in a distraught condition. She was also feeling disturbed. Kali Yuga is about to begin. And what are people going to do in Kali Yuga? If at all they come to my water and bathe, what will they do when they come? They'll simply take a bath and say, take all my sinful reactions, please, so they can go back and carry on sinning. Right? That's what they do. Go to the tirtha, dump your garbage, and go back and get more garbage and bring it back again. It's like a rubbish dump. I don't want to be a rubbish dump. I don't want to be here. I want to leave. I'm going to dry up. I won't be here anymore. She was very distraught. The Lord calmed her down and said, don't worry. I assure you that very soon in this Kali Yuga you will be in ecstasy. Why? Because I'm sending Mantra Upashaka. Mantra Upashaka, the worshipper of the holy name. I'm sending him to the planet Earth. My chief, you could say it's his own form too, but this explains it differently. Mantra Upashaka, my chief worshipper of the holy name, practically, will come to this earth, and he will carry the holy name all over the planet. And he will get people from all countries to chant the holy name of Krishna. Everywhere. Russia, America, Africa, China, Australia, South America, Europe. Everywhere. Even Antarctica, we got the penguins chanting down there like 2 years ago. I didn't go, but one of my friends was one who sent the books. He didn't go either. Some devotees went there, and they chanted to the penguins. Far out of them. What to do? Or at least somebody did. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada's books went there. So then he said, don't worry, my Mantu Upashaka will get everyone to chant the holy name wherever he goes. And they will become pure devotees. And they will come to India, and they will bathe in your water. They will bathe in you, and you will feel bliss and ecstasy. Don't worry. All your concerns will be fully satisfied, so to speak. This is Lord Chaitanya, of course, came and sent his devotees all over India, but around the world, who else but Srila Prabhupada did this? Nobody. Sometime now some other devotees are coming, which is wonderful. But nobody went really. A little bit went, but not much. I mean, let's face it. You saw the Gaudiya Math temple in London. It was one old devotee, old English lady who got initiated by Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. There was nobody else there. It was almost closed, practically lifeless. And Prabhupada came. Now you see what's going on. Look at your temple. There was nothing in India as far as what we see now. Gaudiya Math was a little bit in disarray, breaking up into sections, problems, not much preaching, so many things. And now, I guess it's growing also, but which is wonderful. But look how Prabhupada's mission in India has grown. There was Maharaj knows very well. He came back to India 74, 75, and dedicated himself to Prabhupada's mission there, especially in Bengal, translating books into Bengali and so on and so forth, and preaching there. And Prabhupada, because he was from the same cut, from the same place, Calcutta boy, same school when he was a kid, Prabhupada would always call him into his room in London whenever you come. And he'd call you in. Where's Sabak? They could talk the same language. Then it's like he was like Prabhupada's son. I mean, let's face it, he treated you just like his son. It was quite amazing. It's the truth. It's not a falsity. It's the truth. Anyway, the whole drama just unfolded into, Lord Chaitanya's appearance, and then, Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Bhandendra Maharaj just sat there. He didn't have to say anything, of course, penning it down, his predictions about, very soon, how this Sankirtan movement will spread all over the world, and the fortunate people in the major cities of London and New York and Moscow and Paris and Sydney and all over the world will be going through the streets of their city. And what will they be doing? Shopping. No, what will they be doing? Sightseeing. No. Sankirtan! Harinam! Dancing and chanting as we were doing. Right? Every day. Maharaj would be out on the street. We'd be on the street, maybe in different places. I was in London, you were in Birmingham when I joined. But every day on the street, dancing, chanting, distributing magazines. Distributing magazines, right? You do magazines in Birmingham, right? Mainly. We didn't have many books. Bhagavad Gita, only a abridged version, not the big one was never there. 1971 is one not available. Yeah, violet color, a little abridged version of the Gita in English. A violet color with a little kind of etching of Krishna on the front there. And inside, but it was amazing. But they weren't available when I joined. They were not. The temple had no books, only magazines. So we go with magazines. Same in Birmingham when I went there. There was only magazines. Yeah, but we distributed them on Harinam. All over the whole temple empty. You want to say something?
You joined in Birmingham or London?
No, I joined in London. I visited Birmingham 2 or 3 times, but I joined shortly afterwards in London.
Who talked to you first?
The first devotee to ever talk to me was Mandakini.
Acha, Mandakini also talked to me.
There you go. Harimo!
But Ranchor insisted me.
Huh?
Ranchor insisted me
Ranchor.
to stay.
You stay here, okay.
And
Well,
he's
amazing.
preaching and telling, you don't have...
And they're still both fired up. I spoke to Ranchor a week ago on the phone. They're both fired up devotees.
Writing book?
Huh?
Ranchor writing book again?
He's still writing, yeah.
Ah,
He's an editor, he's a writer.
Mandakini invited me.
Invited you.
In Ram Navami.
Wow.
Then I brought some flowers. Say, okay, very nice.
71?
That
Early.
is little before. 71 I got initiation, maybe 70 years.
1970, married you in a year and a half before I did. Haribo! So, Mandakini, well, first of all, he spoke to me, but she only said 2 or 3 words. She said, I can't, although I live in, where's Ekanath? He can speak in French accent. Say it in French accent. She said, welcome. No, you have to say it in English, but with a French accent.
French accent.
French accent in English.
What's yours saying?
Welcome. Welcome. I can't
What is
say.
welcome?
I can't speak
No
in French accent.
Welcome?
Yeah, well, she has this really deep French accent. It's, welcome. Oh, you've arrived at just the right time. It's prasadam, she said. Come in. And that was it. That was the first devotee who spoke to me. I never met a devotee before I went to the temple. The first time I called across Hare Krishna was in Birmingham, but not you. You may have been there, but I didn't know you were there. I didn't know Hare Krishna existed. I was in a house where we were having a student reunion, and it was like everyone was totally intoxicated on drugs. University in those days meant drugs. That's what it meant. I don't know about Aston. You were in Aston University or Birmingham?
I was in few places changes, from London to other places.
Which college were you studying in?
Central, Hendon.
Oh, Hendon. Okay, you weren't. Bhakti Vijendra Maharaj was studying in Birmingham, wasn't he? Aston.
Yeah.
Aston. So anyway, we were all students, and I'd vowed I will never take drugs again.
But you studied in London University.
I studied in London University degree, but I was in Birmingham after. This is after we finished our degree. So I decided I would never take drugs again, and so all my friends were drugged out. You don't even know what it is. None of you know what that is. You know what it is, but you've never experienced it. I remember the Fugs. There was a pop group called the Fugs. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were very popular in the 60s. They came to see Prabhupada in 26 Second Avenue. They challenged Prabhupada. That, Prabhupada saying that, someone was saying that, Krishna consciousness, stay high forever. You're much more, I had to say, cosmic experience than you can imagine even from drugs. So they challenged him and said, so you say that Krishna consciousness makes you higher than drugs. How do you know? Have you taken drugs? They challenged Prabhupada. Have you taken LSD? They said. Prabhupada said no. Then how do you know? How do you know? But I may not know, but all these boys and girls here, they know. They've given it up. Like that. So I was bored. What to do that night? Everyone's drugged out. About 20 of my mates. And I looked for something to do, and there was a big pile of magazines and books. And I looked through them all, and there was nothing that interested me anymore. Right at the bottom of the pile, that showed how much interest they had in these ones. But at the bottom of the pile were 2 Back to Godhead magazines. That was my first contact with ISKCON and Prabhupada's mission. Direct contact. I read all Mahabharata and Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita. We read all these things at college. But they didn't mean much, other than they were super interested, and they emotionally affected me. But they didn't direct me in any way. There was no direction there. It was just interesting. and something twanged in my heart, but it didn't really take me anywhere. But when I read those Back to Godhead magazines, boom! It's like, you know, the lights came on. Ding, this is the direction. Shoom. Everything fitted. I didn't even know what a devotee looked like, or even what they did, really. I didn't have any idea about the actual life of a devotee, just the philosophy, just boom. So when I went to the temple, I didn't know. I thought the devotees, they're yogis, for sure. I'm sure they don't eat. I'm sure they don't eat. And I was bursting to go to the toilet. So I thought they probably don't have toilets, because if they don't eat, they don't need toilets. I better go find a toilet, but I was in two minds what to do. And anyway, eventually I decided to push the door and go in.
Yeah, very place.
Huh?
Very place.
Very place, yeah. September 71. Yeah. Prabhupada had just left.
Basement was there.
Huh?
Basement was the one toilet. And each floor...
Yeah, there was one toilet there on the landing. Anyway, that's another story. I could stay all day here, but we have a plane to catch. And this one day in the temple would take me at least 4 hours to tell what happened. You believe... It's incredible what happens on your first day in a temple. Anyway, I won't go any further, but Mandakini welcomed me in. It was prasadam time, and I thought they didn't eat, and my illusion was quickly shattered. As we went down to the prasadam room, which was a little basement room in the underground, and it wasn't very big. There's about 15, 20 Hare Krishnas down there, maybe 5 girls and about a dozen boys. And, you know, it was like, oh, wow, I mean, the smell, the incense, everything was overwhelming. It was like, boom, like a cloud coming out the door as I opened it. Or I kind of opened it, and she opened it at the same time. And then I was downstairs, and then it's like, remember Sananda Kumar?
Yes.
He was with you in Birmingham for a while, I remember.
Hawaii.
Hawaiian, yeah.
Sananda.
He was serving prasadam behind this little desk in the corner, little table. And he saw me, he had a face like a moon. Round, beaming, beautiful face, you know, so round. Big smile, you know. I thought he was going to swallow me. It was like, and he had he was giving out plates with prasadam on, you know. Well, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Unbelievable. It was like a mountain of rice, you know. I was like coming in the door at the back, and he was on the other corner. And he kind of, with his eyes, he almost like magnetically drew me towards him. And this plate came from his hand into mine. It was like it must have weighed almost 2 kilos of rice. It felt like it was a mountain. And then he bonked this pile of chapatis on top. I don't know how many it was, you know. I was familiar with Indian food, restaurants and things. Put these chapatis on top. And then there was a 1-liter bowl of dal that went along with it. 1 liter, almost full to the top. Huh?
Noontime.
Huh?
Morning. Noontime or morning?
Noontime. Well, I arrived exactly at 1 o'clock noon. Just at lunchtime.
Yes.
So this was at lunch. Every day, rice, dal, chapatis. There was no sabji. Only sabji, if there was any, went in the dal. You know. And the apple peels went in the dal. The apple peels would go in the dal from the deity's offering. He never got fruit because we couldn't afford anything. Anyway, I could tell you the story. If we could go on, Maharaj and myself, we could go on all day telling such sweet stories about the way that Srila Prabhupada revolution. This is the only revolution that means revolution means back to reality, back to your original position. Srila Prabhupada is the real. No one else in our modern history. I mean, Lord Chaitanya and his followers, but Prabhupada is the greatest revolution in history. People don't understand it. Because revolution means returning back to your origin. No one else is doing that. No one. They're just trying to make your journey in hell a little bit more comfortable. But they have no idea who you are or where you came from. So anyway, unfolding everything, Bhakti knows predictions that very soon all over the world this will go on. The holy name will be danced. People will be dancing and chanting in Birmingham, in Manchester. I met Ranchor and Mahavishnu Swami in Manchester. Same time, more or less. First time I saw Mahavishnu Swami. You know Mahavishnu Swami? I call him the Namahata Swami. Because he's got a hat with the name on, so he's the Namahata Swami. African, you know, he got everybody up there. Got the whole universe is there on his hat. And he's got the spiritual universe, everything's there. The holy name, Prabhupada's there, babies are crying, everyone's up there on his hat. Reincarnation, everything, he carries the whole universe on his hat. And the gateway out. And he's amazing. First time I saw him was on Market Street in Manchester, the main road there. And there he was, surrounded by people trying to distribute magazines. I just watched him for a while, you know. I was already, by this time I'd already visited the London Temple. Huh? Manchester, right in the market there, Market Street. He was so blissful. They were so blissful. They looked like they were from another planet. People thought they were Martians or something, these bald heads. And these funny bed sheets. What are you doing with your bed sheets on, they would say, you know. Huh? No, not that. no, he never had it. He was just distributing magazines. He was alone. There was no one else out. Rancho sent him out alone every day on magazine distribution, you know. Anyway, one thing, and he could go on and on. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur penned down, very soon, a great personality. And in 1886, he made these predictions. He said, and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj had already appeared in 1874. So he made this prediction in 1886 that very soon a personality will appear in this world who will fulfill this prediction and will go all over the world and preach in foreign lands the holy name of Krishna. So who is this? Who is this Mantu Pashika? Who is the Morsena Bhakta? Who is that person who will go all over the world and preach? You have to see who did it, not who it could be, who actually did it. Who can question that? You have to be mad to question it. Either absolutely envious or totally mad. No one did it, come on. Prabhupada did. Not only that, but you know, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Prabhupada said, I'm preaching in the West because my Guru Maharaj told me to do this. But I want to preach in India. Prabhupada's heart was preaching in India. That's why he put so much energy here. That's why there's hundreds of temples here now. 18 temples in Delhi. When Prabhupada was walking the streets of Delhi on his own, trying to distribute magazines, fainting in the heat, being hit by bulls or whatever it is, right? Walking himself to the printers, walking himself to get paper and bringing it back himself, on, not himself of course, but going with a person on some kind, what do you call those tailors, those things, those, and all the paper on top, going through the little lanes to the printers like this. Everything on his own. Going out, distributing on his own. He had no support. No followers. No temple. Nothing. Where's the difficulty in understanding, you know, this is Srila Prabhupada. And we have a duty to Prabhupada. We have a duty. He wanted to fulfill his Guru Maharaj's instruction that the Sankirtan movement and Bhaktivinoda's predictions and desires and Lord Chaitanya's orders, that this Sankirtan movement be spread all over the world, to every town and every village of the world. Isn't it? Yes. Is that right or not? Yes. When Prabhupada was asked this question, when he was in Calcutta, he was living in his house there as a businessman, and he was opening his house for his godbrothers, Sridhar Maharaj and others, dear godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada. Were there, and he was letting them preach and work out from there. One evening, Lisa Bhavananda told us this. I don't know if it's written down anywhere, but he said that Prabhupada told him that one time when his godbrothers were discussing this verse, Prativithyachiyati Nagaradi Gram Savatra Prachoro Hribun Moranam, that in every town and village the holy name will be heard and chanted. It's Chaitanya Bhagavat. So in every, you know, they were discussing. And then Prabhupada said, so, well, this verse is there, every town and village. So what does it mean? What does this mean? It doesn't seem like this is going on. Only a little preaching in India was going on. Even that was not very dynamic at that time, in the 40s. And Prabhupada said, well, what's your explanation? One of the devotees there asked Prabhupada, what's your explanation? He said, well, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to do this. It's Lord Chaitanya's words. It's not just a dream. Someone said, well, maybe it just means Bharat, just in India. No, it says every town and village of the world. Not just Bharat. So Well, have I? You got anything to say? Well, someone's got to do it. And Prabhupada said, but don't worry, it won't be one of you. They used to, a very intimate relationship they had. They would joke almost with each other, according to Bhavananda anyway. And they would call him sometimes Kacha Grihasta, like, a little bit less than up to the standard, Because he was so busy with his business, he had very little time for anything else. So it seemed, which wasn't really the case, but that's what it seemed like. So he said, don't worry, it won't be one of you, it have to be a Kacha Grihasta. Prabhupada. That's what Bhavananda told us anyway. I don't know if it's absolute, but that's what he told us. But you get the point. Prabhupada knew that he had to do this. Not that he had to do it, he knew that he had to surrender to his spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj gave this order to many. You can read and hear about this in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava and other places. Many of them received this order, some of them tried, but they didn't get very far. They didn't even stay there. They came back after a short while. They never stayed there. Prabhupada himself went and stayed there in the West. You know the history well through. But he stayed there through thick and thin. Many times he thought, I can't do this, I got to go back. But the force, the love for his Guru Maharaj compelled him and propelled him to stay there. And now everything is growing. But there's still enormous amount of opportunity. Enormous amount of service to do everywhere, isn't it, Maharaj? Maharaj has traveled all over the place. I know, not so much now because of Asian health, but he's traveled all over America and Europe and Australia and New Zealand and here and there and everywhere. And he's seen how much preaching is required. The opportunities are unlimited. Unlimited. But Prabhupada went on the streets of New York on his own in the winter trying to distribute his books alone. He didn't go there and sit in a nice apartment with 50 surrendered Indian community members and have a big feast afterwards and get big donations and maybe some disciples. He went there alone. He had no money, no place to stay, no disciples, no support. Materially, he had nothing. Next to nothing. That is how Krishna consciousness movement will spread. When we're willing to take on that spirit. Not just, oh Maharaj, can you please come to England? We have a lovely congregation here. We have 10,000 nice Indian members. You can go around and preach to them all. And get lots of dakshin for your temple in India or wherever you're from. And, and many of them are waiting for initiation. Okay, that's good also. But that's not how Krishna consciousness will spread. It's like, in English we say, preaching to the choir. You preach to your own choir. Someone's got to do that. But that's not really Prabhupada's mission. It's to preach to the local people. When I was in Kenya for a few years, Brahmananda Maharaj told me that Prabhupada told him, maybe this is a little controversial, he said, do not invite the Indians to the temple. They'll come anyway. Invite them or not, they'll come. We're here to preach to the black people. We're here to preach to the black people. It's the same thing everywhere. He wanted us to preach. And he wanted the Indian devotees also to preach to the local people like Maharaj. He was going out in Birmingham on his own. He's a shy person in those days. Selling magazines to Birmingham. I'll tell you a funny story. Birmingham is known as the Black Country in English. It used to be all coal mines and steel and stuff. It's called the Black Country. Now, it's funny because... Pardon? Yorkshire? No, Birmingham's not in Yorkshire. Yorkshire's in... Yeah, well, Yorkshire's also full of coal mines. England was a coal mining country at one time. Yeah. So, and not only that, but because Britain, England, they had all these colonies. So once they had independence, all these black people, millions of them, moved to England.
From Africa. Africa.
Pardon?
From Africa.
From Jamaica, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica. Hundreds of thousands came from Jamaica. And they all lived in Birmingham. There was about a quarter of the population were from Jamaica. So every other person you see on the street was black. There was a painting up there. It's in the old Krishna book. A painting of Balaram, who's white as milk, on the back of Palambasura, as black as ink, boom, on his back, and blood coming out of his mouth. And they would have been distributing this on the streets of the black country in Birmingham. I thought, oh my God, if I was a black man, I'd punch you in the face, It was so funny. But they were fearless. The boys were fearless. They go anywhere. Had no fear about going somewhere and just preaching. You read the Chasing Rhinos by Shyam Sundar. You can see how fearless they were. The sky is not the limit. You go to the Queen of England. Why not? Hey, listen, we got a message for you, Queenie. It's like they are fearless. They were so amazing. Well, we got to stop now. We got to go to the airport. Hare Krishna. We got a flight to France. We're going back into the hot field, into the what do you call it? The war zone, the front line. Back into the battlefield, and we're taking, fortunately for us, and fortunately for you, I think, because it's not this temple, but the Rohini temple. Where is he? Where is that? Has he changed his mind, or was he still here? Where is he? There he is. This young man here, he's from the Rohini temple, Punjabi Bag Rohini, and now he's deserting Delhi. He's following in Prabhupada's footsteps and going from here to the Western world to preach on the streets of Paris.
Achha.
Yes. So bless him, please. He needs all the blessings he can get.
He knows French.
Do you know French? He's learning. He's an intelligent young man, and he'll learn it very quickly.
French people don't speak English, huh? French people don't like to speak English.
This is all changing. The world's changing.
He will tell, why you are telling English? Speak French.
Yeah.
Here.
Even if they can speak English, they will not reply to you. Even if they know English, they will not reply. Now, this is all changing because by Lord Chaitanya's arrangement, the European Union and other factors have opened up all the borders. So if a French boy or girl wants to talk to a German boy or girl, they must learn English.
Nice.
If they want to speak to anyone from England, America, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, and any other country come to that, the medium is English. So that all the young people are trying to learn English. Right, Ekanath? Otherwise they can't communicate with kids from Germany or from Italy or from Spain. They all have to learn English because that's the standard language, for, be it what it may, but that's what Krishna's arranged. But that's no excuse because the majority of them do not speak very good English. And on top of that, everybody prefers their own language anyway. You can understand, obviously, much better in your own language. So you must learn French, and he will learn French. But let's see what Krishna arranges. And we are so small in France, literally, you will not believe it. Radha Parasishwar temple, date is installed by Prabhupada. The temple room is no bigger than the temple room you had in Sparkbrook. Yes. Same size, the temple room, as the temple room in Sparkbrook. That's where we're at. Outside, 20 kilometers out of the city. We can't afford anything else. We've got a house there in the middle of a Muslim area, in the suburb of France, where no French person, educated one, wants to go because it's notorious for crime and what have you. We cannot afford anything else up to now. Now Krishna is starting to indicate we can. We're hoping to move eventually into a better facility. But right, the house is fine. It's just small rooms. We even have a garden. It's not bad, but it's in an area which is, not too bad, but all around is this really heavy area. And people don't, I mean, when we're not in a position to do much, and we half a dozen devotees trying to maintain 3 installed deities, installed by Srila Prabhupada, Radha Krishna, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, and big marble Gornitai. And you know, we've got like half a dozen devotees staying there, trying to maintain everything. And we have a small Bengali community growing up, congregation, but they're all poor. Tamil community is not coming because they're opposite end of the city. And you know, money is some other Krishna sending, some at least enough at the moment, but not enough to do anything more than what we're doing. And as far as preaching concerned, most of the devotees are all tied up in worshipping the deity. You can imagine 6 devotees with 3 sets of installed deities, big Radha Krishna, personally installed by Srila Prabhupada. And the main deities in Europe, Radha Parasishwar. We have Krishna Balaram deities installed on our farm, 3 big sets of deities there too. Beautiful Krishna Balaram. Only 2 in the world were installed by Prabhupada, Vrindavan and France, New Mayapur. And then we have Radha Govinda Madhava, gorgeous big deities of Radha Krishna, and big beautiful Gaurnitai, all marble deities. And again there were 6 devotees there worshipping the deity and maintaining 200-acre farm. So now we have more devotees there, and it's, hopefully it's improving. Mayapur Chandra is our head cook in New Mayapur. And who else is with us? Ekanath Prabhu is a full-time book distributor. He's French. And who else do we have with us on this trip? Mahananda, he's traveling with me. And Priyarani, where's Priyarani? Young Priyarani at the back here. She's also living in the Paris temple. She's a graduate in Paris. She's from Nepal. But her family live in France, so she's a French citizen. And she speaks French and she's preaching. Now she also is going out on book distribution a little bit and doing temple services, cooking, and soon she'll be doing deity worship. We have 2 times a week Harinam, mainly organized by our city congregation. And whoever's free from the temple goes and joins them. So we have some young devotees coming up, French. In fact, our 2 temple presidents, co-president in Paris, they're both working people. They're both French. They both live outside, but they're managing the temple in Paris. They're both wonderful devotees. They're married devotees, grihastas. They work outside, and they do a lot of service, and they both do Sankirtan. One of them heads up the Harinam, the other one's into book distribution. So little things are going on, but there's an awful lot to do. Millions, hundreds, billions of people to preach to. Everywhere. So much to do. So much. So I know you have so much to do here as well, but bear that in mind, that I don't know how many devotees there are in ISKCON India, but the majority of ISKCON is now in India, really speaking. And even outside of India, the majority of ISKCON is Indian. You know that, Maharaj. You go to Australia, America, Europe, not in Eastern Europe, but in Western Europe, so many Indian devotees, it's fantastic. But you know, the local people, not so many. Not so many. Not so many. And that's what Lord Chaitanya wants, that's what Srila Prabhupada wants. He wants everything. But he wants that also. And that's the big challenge we have now. It was only white people in the 70s. When you joined, you were a rare, you may have been one of 2 Indian devotees in the temple, practically. You know. And we had very few Indian community members, hardly any, handful. And now it's the opposite. It's a handful of white people in many of our temples in Europe. Not in Europe, in England and Australia and America, it's like that. That's fine, but we want to prove. Now, I was supposed to have a time checker, but he hasn't said a word. He's supposed to stop me at 9 o'clock. Huh? Huh?
I thought you got the clue, so I didn't spoke.
I got the clue. I got the clue.
Timeless wisdom, so that's why.
Timeless, yeah, well, we're going to have to look at the time now, I'm afraid, and it's going to have to come to an end, because we do have to go to the airport shortly. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. That's the secret. When Prabhupada arrived in New York, in Boston, in his prayer Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma, I have no devotion, I have no knowledge. I simply have firm faith in the holy name of Krishna. So you put your faith in the holy name of Krishna and pray, pray, pray to be an instrument to assist Srila Prabhupada in his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to every town and village of the world. Okay? Whatever he takes us, wherever he wants us to go, dedicate our lives. The secret is dedication. It's not just going there as a tourist. It's to go there and dedicate through thick and thin, through hardships and cold weather and insults and arrests and physical abuse. Prabhupada had to undergo all this, challenge. And that's why we're here today. It was not a joyride. Don't go there as Dave and Rita Maharaj said to me, he said, Maharaj, one thing I really appreciate is you're not on the banquet run. The banquet, he calls it the banquet run, where preachers, sannyasis go all around the world to Dubai and Durban and LA and New Jersey and London and Sydney and all the places where the rich Indian communities are in Singapore. I do go to some of these places, but not the same way. But go to the places where where that's not the case, where the unripe fields. That's their duty. This is what Prabhupada wants, so bear that in mind. His Holiness Sabag Maharaj Ki Jai! Boo! I've got the mic. Hare Krishna. Ki Jai! Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai! So that's the glories of the holy name. Huh? Jai! Haribo. And I have to thank Maharaj because one of the instruments for my fortune of being able to hang around in Prabhupada's mission at least. He's a wonderful cook. Maharaj was one of the best cooks I ever know. With Prasad, yeah. Let us go. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. We wish you all the best, and hopefully you're hoping this temple as a further, let's say, oasis to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. From Dwarka, the whole world should receive Krishna consciousness. Send out the armies all over the world, okay? Don't just stay in the ocean. You have to send them out all over the world. Huh? Where are you from?
Ajita. He's asking about Ajita from Australia.
Ajita from Australia? New Govardhan? Is he?
Is he coming to do Mayapur?
Not much. Once in the last 5 years he came. He came just recently. But he just pops in and pops out. He's not involved. No, he hasn't been involved for maybe 5 or 6 years. Madhu Seva as a GBC comes for an average of 1 or 2 days a year. And 3 years he didn't come. So he came last year for 2 days. Myself? Yeah, 5 or 6 times a year. Yeah, I saw him last October. He came we had a reunion, Prabhupada disciple reunion. He came. He's still got the same coat on that he had 30 years ago. He's still wearing the same coat, this long jacket. Same coat, same hat, same scarf. Drove us here today.